will, how come we never dealt with that?
We will do it now. After we count.
We didn't. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. My mic was off, so you want me to read that again, just to be?
Sure.
I'll read the first one again, just because my mic wasn't on.
It's
Okay.
already been voted on,
But, no, the confidential information dated December 10th, 2024 respecting Superior Court application commenced by Park Bridge be received and that council proceed as directed. And we had a mover and a seconder and it was passed. I just wanted anyone listening in to know, because my mic was off when I read that, that's all. Okay? The confidential, and this is item 2, that the confidential verbal update dated December 10th, 2024 respecting Kiefer Mansion RFP for Realtor Services be received. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor O'Hare. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried, but we're not, this isn't, we're still going through the report. This is just that we're receiving, okay? So, just so you know, the report's still gonna be discussed. All those in favor of that's carried. Now, reports that were put off till we came out of closed session. PWCS 113-2024, Uppers Lane Extension Project Update. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the report? Councillor Sentence and Councillor O'Hare. Any discussion regarding that? Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
So I want to make sure, is that the one that we're going to have staff continue working with? Okay, so I don't have the report in front of me here, but we started on that line to get, the city got involved because we were trying to get a school here. Now the school is going to a different location, and I don't know if Councillor Hanley was asked to come back to this.
I told him he can come back on open session.
Okay, all right, so my question then is, we started down the path here because we needed to get a resolution to get the road built and wanted all the parties involved to build the road so we get a school. The school is now moving to a different location, doesn't require this road, so I guess, and now we're still gonna have staff trying to mediate the cost sharing of this subdivision and this road? Like, I think, I just want to make sure I'm getting this clear, because I think we're at the point where our hand should be off this and let the developers figure out
Well,
what
that's
they
a
want.
city road, and this, it was our public works group that said we should look at doing the whole road, not just a section to the school, and that's where the motion came about working on that. Do you want to expand on that, Jeff?
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. At the end of the day, we're still going to have to resolve this issue. I mean, you've heard how the developers can't seem to get along. They all say that they will just want to agree to a cost-sharing agreement, but none of them will pick up the phone and call each other. At some point in time, I think the municipality's got to, because it is our road, it's not a private road, it's not a private development, we'll need to want to have control over the timing of the construction of that road. And it's imperative that we determine not just how much it costs for the road, because we're funding it from development charges, but also how the allocation of costs is going to be for the servicing that goes underneath it. And all of the four parties all agree that, yes, that they will agree at some point in time, because they're all going to want to have their developments be advanced. So I guess what we're recommending is that let's continue to see where there's common ground, because I think we wanted to avoid the situation where the city, whether it's council or staff, is accused of holding up the proper development of these lands. And at some point in Rolling Meadows, if there's not another building permit issued there, we're going to have traffic congestion that's going to be impacted, and we're going to need another route out to Thorold Town Line Road in order to provide some relief.
Go ahead, Councillor Diaz.
Well, I appreciate what staff's trying to do, and I know they want to get this done, but these are developers that are not agreeing. So I don't want to rack up that lawyer's bill constantly. We're leading the surcharge. When they're ready and willing and want it, they will come to us and say, can we get this resolved? At that point in time, if it takes a little bit of funding to a lawyer, that's great, because I don't see this road being built next year. It's going to be a while, because it's not moving to the top of our capital list like it was when the school was coming. So I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time and energy on this when we have a lot of other stuff on the plate going, and we're trying to handhold some developers. They're the ones with the big bucks. Just tell them, go get an arbitrator and get it solved between the 3 or 4 of you that are affected by it. Why does the city have to be the leading charge? And I understand, with all due respect, but it's not, this road's not one of my top priorities. If it's the other 7's top priorities, go ahead and do it. But I'm going to be voting against.
Well, the report's clear. It says that it's a city road, but it also said it expands and gives, we're not under time constraint, but it's an item that basically staff's saying shouldn't be thrown to the side. We should still maintain focus on it because of the importance of that road. And that's a decision of council, but the report states why they think we should be moving in that direction.
Yes, and I respect their opinion on that, but I think when I'm looking at a bigger picture, in my eyes, I don't think this is where we need to be spending resources on. The cost is going to be absorbent because they're not willing parties at this point in time. Until they become willing parties, then things will move quickly. So I don't know what's going to change the willing parties component of it, but usually money does. So thanks.
Councillor Dedivides.
I agree with the staff. I think the city is the city road. They should stick with it. We don't want this to become a big mess. The best interest for the city is to continue on this road and get it done.
Councillor DeRose.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jeff, is this our staff negotiating this, or are the lawyers going to be involved through all this?
Yeah, thanks, through Mr. Mayor. The MOU is basically to set out the framework for a cost-sharing agreement. It's not the cost-sharing agreement itself. It just determines how we're going to share the costs. It's based on percentage of flow that's generated from each particular property and how it affects the sizing of the infrastructure. And that's all we're trying to achieve here, so that when the time comes to build this thing, the cost-sharing agreement will be simple. You add the costs into the formula, and that's their cost. And we'll work out the timing of payment and how the interest costs are recovered and those types of things. But I'm just a little nervous, and I think you should too, about leaving the construction of this road in the hands of the developers, because it's not likely they're going to agree in any time soon. And if we come up with a framework under which they have to participate, then I think we're halfway there. Additional work involved, I appreciate allocating staff time towards this. Most of the work is done. It's just a matter of getting the parties to, they all have a copy of the MOU that you have. It's just a matter of, one more meeting and sign it or don't sign it. If they don't sign it, then obviously we're not going to be able to move things ahead. But I'd like the opportunity to say that city staff, and with the blessing of council, has done everything we can to try and make this opportunity occur.
So how do you, like, when do you say it's enough? Like, that's enough, like Counselor DeAngelo said, when do you get to that point? It getting there, or is it just
Yeah.
keep plugging away? Just because, I know you guys are busy, and this is just an added thing on your plate.
Yeah, all we can do is say, if you want to have a meeting, we're available, and we'll talk about it, but we'll only talk about these things.
We're not running up any lawyer fees while this is going on.
We're not driving the bus here, but we are steering the discussion.
Thank you.
Counselor, I seen Counselor Longo, you had your hand up?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to get some clarification here. So, Mr. Holman, you're basically saying that you think we're close and we should continue on and try to come to an agreement. And is your opinion that we could come to agreement in a very short term?
Yes, subject to the one condition, and it's a significant one, and that is that they drop their litigation against the municipality. So they're going to have to resolve their issues, cost-sharing issues, and come to the point where they're either going to develop this property or they're going to sell it to somebody else who's going to develop it.
Well, because, Mr. Mayor, I do agree with Councilor D'Angelo. I don't want to just get down this rabbit hole where we continue to have meetings and lawyers' fees and negotiations that go nowhere. Is there a way we could put a very strict time limit on either coming to an agreement or we walk away and you guys solve your problems? Because I don't want to spend months and months on this of staff time and lawyers' fees. If you think we're close, my preference would be, let's draw a line in the sand. Gets resolved by this date or we're out.
Jeff, what is your opinion?
I mean, it's a fair question. I don't want to spend staff resources on this either.
What would be a reasonable period of time?
Well, if the urgency isn't related to the development of the school, then, it could be whenever the demand for us, for the city to move ahead with the construction of Uppers Lane is necessary. It would be 3 years, would be a reasonable guess. It's not in our budget. We don't plan to build it next year. But it doesn't hurt to get the design and the cost-sharing agreement in place so that it can happen quickly.
Councilor Longo?
Just one more
continue.
question. In terms of legal fees, are they covered under development charges or not?
Yes, they are. They're project costs,
Okay.
so they would be eligible.
Anyone else before I go to Counselor D'Angelo that hasn't spoken? Go ahead, Counselor D'Angelo.
I'd like to speak. I'm on again.
Oh, yeah,
I'll heed the floor to Councilor Hanley.
go ahead, Counselor Hanley.
Well, I know I did have a motion forward against the upper lane extension. I don't think the city should be continuing to be any part of it, seeing that all parties aren't privy to it or want to be a part of it, especially Rolling Meadows Land Corporation. He has sent a letter specifically stating that. So it's like throwing away good money at a bad idea. To me, I didn't hear what it said previously because I had to, thankfully my phone charged up. I got like 9% because I wasn't reconnected to the city's one where the host says there's another meeting's in progress. But anyways, besides the point. I don't think we should be going forward with it. The road's not going to be built for a significant amount of years. If the two parties, Park Ridge and Rudeco, want to be a part of continuing in that stuff, then all future costs in regards to legal services should be put upon themselves, as I believe happens in every development in regards to projects like this, as was pointed out also in the email by Mr. Gordon that we received just a few days ago, and that was after I give my notice of motion 3 weeks ago. So why are we moving on forward when we know we have an individual that should be privy to a memorandum of understanding, doesn't want be any part of it? So why are we moving forward? Who's gonna be there? The city of Thorold, Walker Brothers, Park Ridge, and Redanco? I know the document that we had in front of us in our e-scribe today has Rolling Meadows as a part of that memorandum of understanding. They've made it clearly known they want no part of it. So
Thank
that's
you.
what I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Sorry I didn't get my motion in, but
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
I guess my question, with the explanation staff has given us, they're saying there might be a chance to get this done without spending much legal money. Can we have one more meeting and just, if it doesn't get done, that's going to Councillor Longo's drawing the line in the sand. If it doesn't happen in the next meeting, well, then it's not gonna happen for a while. I don't mind giving, staff seems to wanna take that one opportunity. I'm willing to give them that, or I don't know if it's one or two or three, but I'm willing to give them one opportunity to do it. And if there's really no movement, then, you know, there's the line, sand's drawn. We move on to other projects within our community and focus on moving those forward, because I know some are getting delayed and meetings aren't happening on some of them. So that's my sort of stance on it. Appreciate what staff has said. I'll support them for a kick at the can, but after that, I think the can needs to rest for a bit.
Okay, any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Diddam.
I'm just worried through you, Mr. Mayor. This kind of deal, a short period of time is not realistic. I think we have to be realistic about it. This is a city road. We got to maintain it, our best interest. It's been a mess with these developers. I think we should stick to the plan, listen to staff, and go ahead with it.
Okay. Okay,
can I just comment one more item, Mr. Mayor?
yeah, go ahead.
Or I could ask a question to staff?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the appropriate staff member, I didn't hear if it was mentioned, how many years down the road before that road will ever be used, seeing that there needs to be phases done to get to that section of road that we're gonna contemplate on coming to a memorandum of understanding and building whatever? I missed the conversation. How many years are we looking at? 5, 6? If I could get that?
Go ahead.
I don't have an answer.
Well, I asked that, Mr. Mayor, if I could just elaborate on it, because I've asked the current developer who's actually building in the area, who's actually been there for 10 years. He says a minimum 6 years, minimum 6 years before he even gets out that far. One of the reasons being, and I'll be upfront, is because there's going to be a restriction on the amount of sewer capacity that's going to be there. We're going to run into a conundrum soon because we got these overflow tanks in the city of Thorold. Just
Okay.
to elaborate a little on
Counselor,
it, and that development, that
wait.
road's going to be done, and we won't even
Wait.
have the capacity
Counselor.
for any sewers
Order,
if
Mr.
far as
Mayor.
development goes. So why even build the
Councillor
road?
Hanley, enough. Stick to the motion.
I am on the
No,
motion.
you're
It's a
off
memorandum of
on,
understanding
you're off
regards
on
upper
waste
lanes, and I'm
treatment,
saying
and
that
we're talking
it's
about
not
we're-
feasible to do the road.
Okay, thank you. We've heard that, and we've heard your opinion, and you've stated it. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Sent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So I'm torn here between throwing money away if the person is going to come to the table, but do you think we could take another kick at the can or a couple kicks at the can to see, is that okay with you if we did it that way? Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Jeff.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I think that's our next step, is to say, this is where we are, you sign this,
Okay.
and satisfy all the conditions.
All right, I'll support you. I just hope you understand that if one person has no interest, then we are, throwing money away too many times, but I'll support this for,
We have other projects we need to work on.
okay. I'll support this, but I like the kick at the can or one more time.
Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. Motion's on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? I have two here that didn't vote. What,
Wanted to add something.
what's that?
I wanted to say something to
I'm opposed.
the question.
Okay, we'll let you speak and then we'll have the vote.
I'd like to
You
know.
didn't have your hand up. I need to see, when you want to speak, please put your hand up, so.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you, but you're right, I didn't have my hand up. My question is, do we think we should put a time limit on coming to a resolution?
I think that was answered earlier. You think it's, what, up to 3 years?
No, I mean a time limit for the developers to come to an agreement, so we can stop wasting staff time. If they don't want to come to an agreement, I would like to put an amendment that says we give staff and the developers until January 31st, 2025 to come up with an agreement.
Is that a reasonable time, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes?
I think that's a way to force the issue, and, because they have more time than we do.
Okay, so you want to, do you want to make that amendment? Counselor Longo,
Yes.
okay? I'll wait till it comes. Do you have a seconder
I'll
for that?
second that.
Okay, Counselor D'Angelo.
January 31st.
January 31st, 2025. We gotta use the new year, eh? It's gonna change soon.
What's happening at that point? Reporting back to council? Is there any language that one?
Report back to the meeting in February. How's that sound to everybody? Okay? Is that okay? That which would be, it's in early February. I can't give you the exact date right now, but I think it's probably, is it 14th, 21st, 28th? It's first week of February we'll have a meeting.
We have two that month.
Hmm?
Not in my calendar, but probably 4th.
Yeah, it's early. I know it's early. That's good.
Mr. Mayor, just that, because I know staff reports have to be in advance in the 31st, so I would go to the second, like, it's not gonna matter, maybe report at the second meeting in February, give staff time where they're not pressurized to get it in. Say the meeting's January 28th, right, and we meet, I don't know, say if it's the 4th.
4th of February, I think.
Yeah, it puts pressure on them because they gotta get the agenda out to staff, to council.
25th, then you're right. It doesn't have time to prepare the.
25th, then, okay?
I think that's more reasonable. I don't want to put extra pressure on staff.
Okay, that's fine. That's, I think that, Counselor Longo, you're good with that?
Sure.
Okay, but it's still the 31st, but the report would come, okay? Yeah. Okay, can you put that up? Okay, so there's the two amendments, January 31st, and that staff report to council at the February 2025 meeting of council. Who was the mover and seconder on that?
I have Councilor Longo as the mover. Was it Councilor D'Angelo?
Seconder. Did we do the amendments first?
Voting on the amendment, yeah.
We're voting on the amendments. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And on the whole recommendation now. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. So Counselor Hanley, you're gonna withdraw that motion because we're gonna have a report coming back and there's the timelines attached?
Yeah, it's not gonna go anywhere anyways.
Okay, thank you. Okay. CLK 6/2024, Realty Services for Kiefer Mansion. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that report? Counselor Sentence and Counselor Decker. Okay. The report's on the floor. Nicholas is here to answer any questions. I'll open the floor for questions or discussion. Go ahead, Counselor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions to staff regarding this. I know previously, I'm not sure if it was last term of council, but we had put an RFP out for real estate services for all of City of Thorold properties. Do we know when that was done? And if we don't know, I can ask the next question.
What are the questions?
The question is, the realty services that we put out.
We had awarded a contract to a firm. I won't name any firms, any names, any persons, but we had awarded a contract to a firm, either last term of council or the term before. And it was for the.
I can't remember the exact date, but I
I
know
can't
what
remember
you're
either,
talking
but my
about.
question is, why was it allowed to lapse and not renewed, or why wasn't it reissued at that time?
I don't know when.
I have information on that. I can't speak to your second part of your question, Councillor Longo. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Looks like there was one that was signed back in early 2019 for a period of 2 years, and that was extended further 2 years in early 2021.
So it's elapsed in 2023 at some point?
It would appear that way, yes.
Okay. Anyways, ask your second yeah.
So that's,
Follow up.
so we let it lapse and we didn't renew, and so now we're gonna try to do a one-off for probably one of the biggest sales that we have of a commercial property in the city of Thorold. I just wanna make a comment that I think we've had I'm gonna come out and say it, we've had a terrible deal with this property for 20-some-odd years. And I don't wanna end it on a bad note, and this has nothing to do with who's been recommended here, but I think we need a commercial real estate firm to handle the city of Thorold's commercial realty. They have the last one we had has a much further reach, and I believe that's what we need to do. It's just my opinion here. I don't feel comfortable not having a commercial specialist handle this project. And I wouldn't do this if it was my own property, so I'm not gonna sit here and say nothing. I would do it differently. So I think that's my opinion on this. I think we need to look at it. There's no great rush here. Trust me, it's not gonna sell in a day, so I think we need to do it properly.
Thank you. Any further discussion before you call the vote? Go ahead, Counselor D'Angela.
Actually, Counselor Divitis had his hand up first, so I'll.
Well, I called you, and
Okay,
you're both
all right.
have spoken already, so now you can speak.
Spoken on this.
Anyways,
I'd like to too.
Yeah.
you can speak too, Counselor.
Well, I sort of disagree with Councilor Longo. I think there's urgency here. We just wrote a check for $500,000 to our lawyer regarding the transaction. It's in our accounts payable, and another $3,500 on top of that. So I want to start recovering that money. That's why we're selling this property. We have other projects that need to be financed. So my questions are, in terms of the process, once we select a real estate agent, will they be addressing council in terms of what they feel is appropriate value of the property being sold? Or do we now just hand it over to them and they do what they do as a real estate agent? So that's question number one. And then question two, is there a
Well,
time limit?
Question one, I think, I'll get.
I'm curious on the process.
No, that's a fair question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So as part of the actual proposals, the proponents did provide figures that they feel represent market value and listing value for the property. And there would potentially also be an opportunity to obtain an evaluation as well, to get a better understanding of the price point. But that was something that they submitted, each of the completed proposals.
Okay, so the process then, staff is just gonna go with those numbers that the person that we select as proposed, just out of curiosity?
Through you,
And then-
Mr. Mayor, it's the idea, I guess, is to, defer to someone who has some expertise in real estate sales, which, staff may not have.
Okay, all right, and then timeline in terms of, we select this individual, what is, I guess, again, I'm not a real estate agent, so I'm asking the question, what's the normal timeline of giving them the listing? Is it unlimited? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Was that also proposed in the RFP, or is that something that will be negotiated?
I think negotiated, but I'll turn it over to clerk to answer that question.
So that can be something that's negotiated. A specific time frame wasn't stipulated in the RFP.
Okay, yeah, again, I see urgency in this, so to me, that's very critical. If we have, whoever we select here, if we select them and it's not moving, there should be a timeline, a fair timeline, that we can replace that person and or replace that firm and get to another firm. So I think that needs to be into the mix somehow here. So I don't know if someone wants to comment on that.
Mr. Mayor, I think that's a good point. As clerk has mentioned, it is not mentioned in the RFP, but moving forward from here, if council so wishes, and we can decide on a timelines, and I don't know what the reasonable timelines would be, 90 days, 120 days, I don't know what it is, whatever council feels, we can add that, and when the selected firm is retained, they will be told that this is what we are signing the contract for this period. If it is not sold, then we have the ability to go back for another RFP or whatever the council wishes at that time.
My suggestion would be, well, hopefully we sell the property. If not, as Councilor Longo mentioned, we should have someone on retainer. There might be other properties that we have to deal with. So it would be good to go back to that RFP. We had that for 4 years, 2 years, and then the extension. I think we should look at that again as this process unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Delavides.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Longo was 100% correct. I would not want anybody to sell my commercial properties that wasn't totally qualified and the best in the field. $500,000 we paid out to leasee. We have to get the best for the taxpayers. We have to think of the money we have to get. Getting the wrong person involved in a real estate deal, you're not going to get the right price. You need to get an expert out there, a shark. I think we're making a big mistake.
Thank you. Councillor Hanley.
Yes, I agree too. I don't believe that we're using a residential realtor to sell a commercial entity, one of our biggest sales that we'll ever have in the city of Thorold, and I can't support the motion. Plain and simple.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I agree with what's just been said by Councilor Hanley, Delavides, and Councilor Longo. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sentence.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I respectfully disagree. I will be going with the staff recommendation on this. Thank you.
Okay. We had a mover and a seconder.
Can I
Oh,
just add one more thing, Mr. Mayor? Commercial real estate's very complex. That's why there's only a certain handful of people with expertise in this area. We are making a big mistake going to residential real estate. I have my license. Anthony Longo has his license. You do not get a commercial property and handle it this way, especially when it's the taxpayers' money.
I will say one thing. The thing was put out for a fair RFP, and those people could have bid on the project. They could have filed an RFP. It was open to anybody to file for it, okay? We've had a discussion. Now we're going to call the vote. Go ahead, Councillor.
In regard to your remark, the RFP should have been only for commercial real estate.
Well, it's more than commercial if you look at the zoning on the property, okay? So it's not strictly a commercial property. It is a component, and do you want to expand on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Jason, I don't know if you have the zoning in front of you, but this is a historical property. It's designated under the Ontario Heritage Act. So there is a heritage component to it. And that is one of the things the selection committee looked at, was experience with heritage properties. If council's direction is now to look at it from a purely commercial lens, then that's fine, but the property is not, you know, a strip mall property. It is a heritage property. It's a historical property that can also be used as a home.
Okay. We've had it, go ahead, Counselor.
Well, again, I saw the scoring there. Again, we weren't 100% privy to how it was scored, but I saw the numbers there. My concern is the value that we get. So that's my major concern, because I want to recoup as much as we can out of this property back for the taxpayers. And the timeline if the individual we select doesn't deliver. So those are key things. It was a fair process, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned, so anyone could have applied. If they didn't apply, well, they didn't apply. These are what we have, this is what we scored, but I want results. So I'm putting a pressure timeline on the results, because if I don't get them, then we go to the next person in the list. And because commercial was really mentioned here, that's something staff could go back and look at how they're gonna send out the next RFP if need be. So those are my concerns. So at this point in time, I will support it, but with a tight timeline. So I need to know the timeline that we're gonna be putting to sell the property, or have that agent the ability to sell the property. So that's critical for me.
Okay. Okay, Counselor Longo, go ahead.
So I guess, Mr. Mayor, we need to know what the timeline is, what the
That was my
price
next
is,
question.
and what happens with any offers that are submitted on the property? Do they come to council?
I would think they would, but
Well, that's, I
you know,
think
it's a
we
good
would like to
question.
know.
Let's get it clear.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. There, you can discuss we can discuss with Realtor about, you know, irrevocability periods as well for offers, so that it would give council time to consider anything that comes in.
And the timelines question.
That,
When you discuss with the Realtor,
have any direction from council on that.
well, no, but we can give you direction on that. What is the standard? I know what I think it is. Counselor Longo, what did,
I'm not answering that question. I didn't put my name in for the RFP.
okay, but I know like, it can be anywhere from 90 days to 6 months, you know. I don't know, it's up to council. I'm not telling you what you want, but if you want that to be part, or do you want staff to work on that? Go ahead, Counselor Decker.
If no one wants to put it, I would say 6 months,
Okay,
if everyone's agreeable to that.
can I get a seconder for that? Counselor Sentence, does anyone want to discuss that any further? That would be that would go into the report that it'd be a 6 months window.
Is this a friendly amendment?
Well, wait and see. Who had the mover and seconder? Counselor Sentence and who?
And Decker.
Counselor Sentence and Decker. Okay, so we would
Mr.
be
Mayor?
approving the report if council's wish, and that's what's on the floor.
Yeah, I just gonna speak to the timeline. I don't know, I'm not a real estate, and you said 3 months to 6 months. I'd rather go a shorter time frame. I'd rather go to 3 months, because like I said, I want results driven right away, so.
Well, we've got the 6 months motion, so if you don't want 6 months, it can get turned down and we can put a second one on.
Thank
Okay?
you.
That's the way it works. We got a mover and a seconder. We're just voting on the timeline now. We're not voting on the whole thing. The motion was that it be for a 6 month period, contract, or what?
Well, we're looking to add to what's on the floor, so it would be either a friendly amendment, and I would.
Or you put it as a separate line at the time period. How do you want to handle that?
Well, you're still doing 2 votes, right? You're
Yeah.
voting on the amendment.
Yeah.
And then you're voting on.
Okay, call it up so everybody can see it. Okay, so right now that, we're voting on the amendment, and it was a friendly amendment, correct? Because two were the ones that, but we're voting on that the listing agreement, be for a period of 6 months, okay? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, opposed? That's defeated. Okay, so do you want to put a different one on? Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, I'll do a 3-month.
3 months we have now. Can I get a seconder for that? Is there a seconder? Counselor Hand.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got it. Yes, we can. Go ahead on the amendment.
Just on the amendment, it just seems too short. I'm not a real estate agent either, but shouldn't we maybe be somewhere in the middle? We went 6 months as the max, 3 months as the minimum. Should we go somewhere in the middle to give someone time to sell the place? Like 4 months, something?
I'm agreeing.
4 months.
Thank you.
Do I have 5? No. Okay, so we got 4 months. And we, you moved, who seconded that one? Counselor Hanley. Counselor Hanley, we're going to 4 months. Are you good?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're voting on that amendment, which is now 4 months. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, so now the amendment, the report as amended, okay, right?
Yep.
And we had the mover and seconder. All those in favor?
We're good.
Yeah, good, opposed? And that is carried. Okay, because Counselor Hanley was good, and we had the rest in the chamber. Okay. That's good. Now we're on to, whoa, what was that? Now we're on to bylaws. Is there any of these bylaws have to be changed by what we did tonight? No? We're all good, right? Okay. Bylaws. Can I get a mover and seconder for bills 92, 2024 through 97, 2024? Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Counselor O'Hara and Counselor Decker. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. There being no further business, this meeting is hereby adjourned at 10:50 p.m. So much